Hi there folks, back again for another video. In this one I wanted to have a chat about Warhammer the Old World. So recently in the last couple of weeks we got a look at what Games Workshop have been planning. When it comes to returning to the Old World, the factions that are going to get updated straight away and which ones are going to be given a sort of back burner status, I suppose it will be. So the way that they've described it is that when Warhammer the Old World, not 10th edition, when Warhammer the Old World launches, there's going to be a set of core factions that are going to get rulebooks straight out of the gate, alongside a full selection of plastic and resin miniatures from both Games Workshop and Forge World, in terms of new and old, for you to use on the tabletop. So they are going to be the Empire of Man, the Dwarfen Mountain Holds. Should say for the Empire of Man, this is obviously during the time of the Three Emperors, so there's going to be much more of a focus on them being less wizardy, I suppose, would be the way to go. But it'll be very interesting to see how they handle that lore-wise. Anyway, Empire of Man, the Dwarfen Mountain Holds, the Kingdom of Bretonnia, the Wood Elf Realms, the High Elf Realms, the Orcs and Goblin Tribes, the Warriors of Chaos, the Beastmen, Brayherds, and the Tomb Kings of Khemri. So the Empire of Man, that's an obvious one. They are slap bang in the middle of the Empire in the Old World, so it makes sense they're here. The Dwarfen Mountain Holds, they've been around for a very long time. They have been aiding humanity in many different ways, and also watching out across the borders to see what's coming from both the north and the south, and even the east as well. Kingdom of Bretonnia, again, a big faction that exists in the Old World, sitting right next to the Empire in many respects, just sort of separated by a range of mountains, and is obviously going to be playing a key part in the initial run out of releases, as they're going to be going against Khemri. We'll talk about them in a second. Wood Elf Realms, again, they've been sort of secreted away within the Old World for a very long time, watching over the different forests, and so it obviously makes sense for them to be there. The High Elf Realms, Teclis obviously has a huge impact on the formation of the colleges of magic in the Empire during this period, and works alongside Banglas the Pious in that sense, in order to bring that to life and fruition, and to sort of bring a little bit of order to the realms of humanity. There are also plenty of high elf enclaves along the coastlines of the Old World, so it makes sense that they're going to be focused on in the game, and obviously they're a big faction. Orc and Goblin Tribes, they're everywhere. Of course they're going to be around. Same for Beastman, Brayherds as well. They're all in the forests like the Drakwold and stuff, and so having them in the game makes a lot of sense. The Warriors of Chaos, they're your big bad guys, led by Avasar Kul, I think that's his name. Avastor Kul, he's the big warlord. I talked about it in another video. That'll be linked to the end, but he's going to be coming down from the north, ready to despoil everything. And then obviously you've got the Tomb Kings of Khemri there, which for me, it's a little weird that they're being included in this. I know they've kind of brought it up in the background that they're kind of looking to sort of lurch north to take back some of their old kingdoms. And there is some justification as to why the other factions aren't around in terms of the undead. But it does seem a little bit weird that we're getting them and not some of the other factions, which we'll talk about in a second. So yeah, they're the ones that are going to be getting full releases in terms of new and classic kits as they're coming out. There you can see some of the old war dancers and one of the old tree men as well on their bigger bases, as you can see too. The other factions, so Dark Elves, they're fighting up in Nagathron or Nagaroth, so there's no reason for them to be involved in the goings-on of the Old World. The Skaven, interestingly, are apparently in the midst of a civil war beneath the surface, and this accounts for why they become sort of semi-mythical and people don't really believe in them. People think they're beastmen, that kind of thing. So they're not going to be playing an active role in things. The Vampire Counts are kind of licking their wounds and sort of working away in the background, trying to take over portions of the Empire. They're the one that I'm a little surprised that we don't have more on. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with them, I suppose. and where the story goes for that and the justifications and things. Demons of Chaos, apparently they're not fully manifesting within the old world just yet. So you're seeing a lot more Warriors of Chaos, a lot of mortal troops, and very few of the immortal demons being let through rifts in the weaves of magic. Ogre Kingdoms, they are going to be taking a back seat. They obviously would be fighting away on the eastern fringes of the old world across the mountains, and so including them in your games certainly doesn't make too much sense at the moment anyway, but they're going to be sort of on the periphery, I would say. Then you've also got Lizardmen. Lizardmen keep to themselves in Lustria. No real reason for them to be involved in the old world stuff that's happening at the moment and the storyline there. And the same thing for Chaos Dwarves. They're kind of hiding away in the shadows, supporting the forces of Chaos. I should mention that while they have said that they're not going to be getting like full books for the other factions, these factions here are going to be getting free PDFs. So in a sense, it's kind of a good situation, I suppose, if you're one of these factions. You don't get new miniatures, essentially, but you don't have to buy a massive rulebook and, well, a massive army book straight off the bat in order to start playing the game with them. You can just download some free PDFs and have some fun, which I think is quite nice. So, you know, you're saving yourself a little bit of money, and if you have a large army of these sitting around, then there's no reason to not bring them back to the fore. So yeah, they've announced the factions that are going to be focused on, which is quite nice. There's some more justification in here as to why some of these factions aren't actually taking part in the narrative and stuff. So I'll have that link down in the description if you want to go and have a read of it. But this had me thinking about what to do for the old world when it comes around, because as much as I don't necessarily need to buy a new army for Warhammer the Old World, I kind of want to. I was thinking it would be really nice to go down the route of an entirely different faction and play someone that I've never played before. It would be really nice. I've done Empire in the past. They were my first Warhammer Fantasy army. And I'd really like to do my kind of awesome Witch Hunter idea, which would be quite nice to do. And I've also been toying with the idea of High Elves. I think that could be quite nice. But I'd love to do like a White Lions of Thrace army. I think that would be amazing. I would love those miniatures to come back out. If they do, I might go down that route. But anyway, the army that I've been drawn to is actually the Dwarfen Mountain Holds. So I do have a dwarf army from 8th edition, which is huge. It's like 4,000, 5,000 points of dwarves. It's in a battle foam case somewhere behind me on the shelves. And I could easily just rock them out and have fun with them. But I don't want to do any rebasing. I know you don't have to do any rebasing because you can just use the footprints of larger regiment trades. You can just build some more and whatever, and away you go, right? But part of me has been looking at that old army and been thinking to myself, this was painted during a period where I wasn't as good as I am now. Do I want to repaint all of those models? No. Do I want to rebase all those models? No. Do I want to be playing around with new kits and trying to create something a little bit fancier that's sort of more in line with the way that I paint and hobby now? Very much so. And so I was looking to go and pick up loads of this stuff when everything comes out for the old world and being like, right, I'm just going to start from scratch, just going to pick up some new models and away we go. But then something came to me. The old world's probably going to be a very long time off anyway, right? We're probably not going to be seeing it this year, and if we are, it's probably going to be towards the end of the year or start of 2024, I reckon, because a lot of the focus is going to be shifting towards Warhammer 40,000 10th edition over the rest of this year, I would say, right? And the new versions of Kill Team and Warcry and all that kind of thing. But there are still lots of kits that are available on the Games Workshop web store, and also beyond that as well, that were around during 8th edition and are going to get updated for the old world, right? So why not get a head start on that, potentially before they start to bump up a bunch of the prices for these box sets, and actually have a look at getting some of the older models for a new army. And so I was having a look through and I was like, right, what do Games Workshop make now in plastic that is available for the dwarves? So the Duardin, as they're called in Age of Sigmar, although they're just dwarves. You have Belagar there, who in this case is just named as a Warden King, but would just be a great dwarf lord to use in your games. I'd probably take the standard off his back and just paint him up without the standard, I think, and use him as my lord. You also have access to a rune lord, so immediately you've got your martial leader, you've got your spellcaster, or rune caster in this respect. You can also get your hands on a cogsmith, so you've got access to an engineer to use in your games there. This actually might not necessarily be a bad way to start, actually, to be honest. You do get the gyrocopter as well, which is quite nice, or the gyro bomber, as it's called here. So you do get the Iron Breakers, you get the 2 heroes, and you get that. You obviously aren't going to be getting the square bases that you're going to need for this, but and this is applicable to everything that's coming out, everything that's going to be looking at here, apart from the Warden King, because he gets one on the sprue. But everything else, you're going to need to buy yourself some 25mm square bases to use in your games. You know, it's not hard to get your hands on 25mm bases. There are loads of them around. They've kind of upped, so anything that was on a 20mm is now on a 25mm. So if you are looking to get into the old world and you're looking to get a bit of prep done, looking to transfer your models from those smaller bases to the slightly bigger ones is definitely something you should be doing and having a look at right away, really. This does mean that does that mean that all of the older regiment traits won't work now? I don't know, actually. That'll be interesting. If you know, actually get into the comments down below and we'll have a look at it. And we'll obviously we're going to learn about footprints and things later on down the line. But beyond that, we've also got all the other... So you've got your martial leader, you've got your spellcaster. If you pick up this set, you've got your engineer. Then looking at the rest of the stuff that they actually have for the dwarves, you've got your Ironbreaker / Iron Drakes kit. So that's going to be great for making your elite infantry, whilst also making your sort of elite ranged infantry as well for taking on tunnels and things. You don't have access to the regular clan warriors anymore. The normal dwarven warriors have gone into the ether. They will obviously be coming back later on down the line when the old world comes out, because we've seen them in some of the images and stuff. But for the moment, when it comes to plastic stuff, you have access to the Iron Breakers and the Iron Drakes and things. You also have the Hammerer Longbeard kit. So if you want to make Longbeards, which a lot of people make Longbeards to use as their core infantry because they were just better than normal dwarves. You have access to them, which is kind of nice. And also you have Hammerer kit as well. So if you want to have a unit that is then tied directly to your king or your dwarven lord, you have the access for that too. There is also obviously the gyro bomber gyrocopter kit, so if you want to make a couple of additional units for that, you have the ability to do so. They don't sell artillery at the moment, obviously. They don't sell rangers and scouts, and they don't have slayers, so that's something you're going to have to be tinkering with. Saying that, actually, they do have a dwarven slayer, don't they? There is still a classic slayer in the Fire Slayer collection, potentially. I don't know whether or not they got rid of him, or if is he just called Grombrindle now? There we go. You can still get the old classic Dwarven Slayer as well. So if you want to pick him up, you can do, and use him in your games, which would be quite fun and easy to do so. Interestingly, you could also just run Gotrek as well, couldn't you? There's a Gotrek miniature as well, so you could run Gotrek in your army if you wanted to go down that route, which is quite nice. The other thing to bear in mind as well is that the Grand Alliance order stuff is still very good. All of this stuff was still 8th edition ready. So Dark Elves, they're not coming out, but if you wanted to pick up some of the old models, you can still do that. Let's see if we can go to... they only have 2 start collecting sets, don't they, now? It's a bit unfortunate. But you've still got great swords, you've still got pistoliers, you've still got your various types of wood elves, you've got your Free Guild Empire captains, you've got your handgunners, the sorcerer. There's all the other characters. You've got your Wood Elf princes. You've got your assassins for your Dark Elves as well. Flagellants, if you're going to be making an Empire. All of the Empire stuff is still pretty much there and, alive and kicking. So if you're looking to dive down that route, you've definitely got that sorted. When it comes to some of the other stuff, I'm not so sure how you'd be doing. So Wood Elves, yes. High Elves really don't exist very much anymore, I suppose. You have... Do they still do the Phoenix Guard? I think they do, don't they? That's my dwarf page. Oh, there's still more pages. So you've still got your battle wizards there. Still got some high elves, I think, somewhere down the line. Yeah, so you still got your shadow warriors. You still got your Phoenix Guard. Demigryph Knights are still a thing. All your different character models. These aren't going to exist, I would imagine, in 10th. Because they wouldn't have that technology, I suppose. But you still got your big leader characters as well. You can get your hands on some artillery, but you can't get the Empire Great Cannon anymore, which is a bit of a shame, I suppose. As well as the other stuff, what are we looking at in terms of the diary? So Warriors of Chaos, that's easy enough. They still do kits for those. Beastmen, still got all of them. Orcs and Goblins, that's an interesting one. I think everything has changed since the time of the old world. I think there might still be a few things in there for the war clans. Let's have a look, shall we, and see. So obviously all this stuff for the Cruel Boys isn't going to be backdated. They've already said that anything that came out for AOS isn't going to be backdated. You've still got your Black Orcs. You've still got your Savage Orcs. What else have we got? We've got war bosses and things. Not really anymore, have we, I suppose. But you've still got Black Orcs and things, which is quite nice. Beastmen, they've got loads of things for them. Tomb Kings, they're going to be all new stuff, or at least all returning stuff. Same for Bretonnia. Wood Elves we've seen. High Elves we've seen. Empire. So yeah, they have got a lot of stuff waiting in the wings for you to use for all of these different armies, to be honest. And you could start diving in and building up your armies right now if you really wanted to, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I think it would be fun to be like, right, I want to try and get some starting stuff down on the tabletop. If it's anything like what they've done in the past, you're going to have reasonably sized units of things. So you're probably going to be looking at between 10 and 20 models for different units on the tabletop, right? So, a couple of different box sets for the different miniatures, a couple of the big pieces, some elite characters and that kind of thing, and away you go, really. So my thinking was, do I just drop like 100 quid, 150 quid on buying some of these old models, buying some of the 25mm bases, and just crafting myself a new army for use on the tabletop? I could start with something like the Greywater Fastness set. So that would be, £70 for that. I've had a look online, and a lot of the stuff for the Cities of Sigmar doesn't necessarily change in terms of price from different vendors, which is a shame, I suppose. But there we go. So that one's 70, and that gets you a bunch of stuff for a little bit of a discount, which is good. And then if you look at the other Duardin things, you'd probably want to get another unit of Iron Breakers. So you'd have 2 core units of 10 models, or one 20-man unit, and that's going to be another 30, so that takes you up to about 100. So then maybe if you bought a set of the... What would you do? You'd probably buy yourself a set of the Hammer Longbeard kit, and you'd probably look to make a unit of 10 of those, perhaps, for use on the tabletop. So you probably go with Longbeards, I would reckon, for a lot of folks. Longbeards would definitely be the way to go, I think, for people, because they're a lot more of a core choice than going down the Elite Hammerer route. So you could do Longbeards with that set, and then you'd have a good start to a new army, I suppose. Obviously, you're going to want to wait until the other warrior kits and things come out. You could look to other creators. What's it called? Avatars of War. But I can't type. Avatars of War. Here we go. So they do regiment kits. So they do your clan warriors there in plastic. They do rangers. So you've got them, and then you've also got Slayer regiment. That is possibly one of the best regiments out there, to be honest. They do these on kind of like like we have some, but then they go out of stock kind of thing. And they do some they create them every so often. But this is a really nice kit actually, and would work quite nicely aesthetically with what's also available from Games Workshop. So you got your Dwarf Warriors there, if you want to use them. You got your Rangers there back on sale, so you can pick them up and drop them into your games. Again, another great kit that works aesthetically with what's available. They are obviously on 20mm bases, so you need to upgrade them to 25s, which is awkward, of course. Same for the Dwarf Slayers as well. Again, that's an amazing kit. I absolutely love this kit. It was really fun to put together, that one on the tabletop. And I use that in pretty much all of my games, to be honest. And if you're going to be playing with friends and you're not going to be taking them to Warhammer World, then what does it matter, I suppose? Just build them up and dive in and have some fun. But yeah. Let me know what you're thinking at the moment when it comes to Warhammer the Old World. Are you somebody who is tied to one of those core factions? Are you going to be resurrecting an old army and remaking them for the Old World? Are you going to be starting from scratch like me? Are you going to be doing something in between? Will you be kind of ship of Theseusing your army and starting off with new miniatures and slowly but surely replacing them as you go? That would be an interesting way to go, I suppose, wouldn't it? Are you one of these people that is sort of cautiously waiting for the Old World and a little bit upset that you're not going to get the full heft of awesomeness when the Old World lands? Are you just not bothered at all? Whichever way you go, it'd be fun to hear what you're thinking down in the comments down below. So yes, make sure to do that. There is a Ko-fi link down there if you like what I do and you want to help me with some donations towards cups of tea and hobby supplies and all that kind of thing. That's always welcome. But you don't have to do that. If you would like to just dive in and have some fun and chat away in the comments, that is great. I love responding to what you guys are talking about and having a discussion about hobby and wargaming and everything else in between. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe and everything else if you enjoyed this video. But yeah, the Old World, going to be an interesting one, I think. I am very tempted to start diving in and creating something awesome now in anticipation for what is around the corner. But yeah, I'm going to move on and get ready for another video. But for now, I'll see you later. Bye.